This is Unmasked.
Sorry, I know that the setup kind of takes a little bit longer.
No, you're
I
totally
usually try to have everything set up and going before anyone gets here, but obviously some things are out of our control. But we're here now.
Yes.
And we have everything going. It's been, what was the last time you were on this?
It had to have been over a year ago, or not over a year ago, but probably close to a year ago, because I was under 18 at the time.
That's right, yeah.
And I'll be 19 this year.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you're still the youngest person that has ever been on. I know we were kind of talking about this earlier, but it's really funny because, like, I don't ever have people under 18 on here, but because you are an actor and I've seen kind of the trajectory of your career a little bit and all the stuff that you've been doing, it was kind of one of those things that I was really curious as to what
it's like.
Yeah, especially for someone of like a younger generation.
Yeah. Because I was still in high school at the time too. So
yeah.
Balancing all of that.
Yeah. So you were balancing acting, you were balancing modeling, you were balancing high school and stuff, like an actual public school too, not just like doing the homeschool or the online school, but like actual public school, which I was just curious about because I didn't personally do any performing arts stuff really in school myself. I was very much in high school let's just get this over with.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here any longer than I have to.
Yeah.
I'll pass my classes, I'll do what I need to in that instance, but as far as anything else goes, extracurriculars, anything like that, I didn't care. I was like, I just want to get out of here. I just want to do my own thing.
Too, up until I did get out of there, and now I'm like, shoot, take me back, like, please.
Really?
Like, well, just because, like, I'm not in college right now, and, like, for me, I loved high school because I'm such, like, a social person, and, like, for me, it was, like, my social hour. Like, I was never really, like, great in school. I mean, I got, like, decent grades, but I wasn't involved in, like, a crazy amount of extracurricular activities or, like, super involved with the school. I love to go there and, like, see my friends, and now, like, they're all off in college, and, like, I'm doing my own thing, and that's part of life, you know. Everybody after high school, they move on to their own thing, but you miss it. I miss it. So
really,
yeah, a little bit.
I miss kind of the life and and it's gonna sound weird, but like the lack of responsibility. I mean, I still worked in high school and stuff. Like, did you do like extracurriculars in high school, or was it just school?
No, up until so all of middle school, like, I did track and everything, and then freshman year I did track, but then I quit because my hips got really bad, and then I started modeling and acting. So then from that point on, that's all I really did during school, because I didn't really have time for extracurricular activities, because with my school, it's like anything that you want to do that has to do with the school, it takes up like so much time.
Really?
Sports, I mean, it's like an everyday thing. Clubs, again, like an everyday thing before and after school, and I'm like, I don't have time for that. I'm doing what I'm doing right now, and nobody else was doing that, so I felt like, you know, I was like, this is my extracurricular activity, so it's fine. But no, I just, like, it's just, again, like you said, it's the lack of responsibility that I had, because now I'm paying my car payments, I have a job, and like before, my car that I had was my grandpa's old car, so it was completely paid off. I didn't have to pay anything except for the insurance. I didn't have a job, like a, you know, actual, like, labor job, I guess. I don't know. But, so yeah, I guess that's just what I miss. And, like, being able to, like, see my friends every day, and, like, you know, it's, growing up is hard. That's all I gotta say.
I know I've seen a lot of those memes and stuff on Facebook that's like, if I could go back to that younger me that's like, I can't wait to be an adult and be able to do whatever the fuck I want, whenever the fuck I want, and do all this,
I would slap myself in the face.
They create backhands for a reason, and I think it's for that reason.
Yeah, because it's like, that's and I know it sounds like so cliche, but like with my sister and my brother, they're still in high school. My younger brother, he's a junior, and then my sister, she's a sophomore, and I just keep telling him, I'm like, please don't take it for granted. Like, please don't, because you're going to, and then you're going to look back and you're going to realize how fast that it went by, and all the things that you were worried about, it doesn't even matter anymore, because, like, it doesn't, unless, you know, you're worried about, like, tests, whatever, for college. But I mean, I keep telling him, I'm like, you just have to enjoy it because it's going to leave so fast. And like, for me, I don't know, it might have just ended quicker because I did my freshman and half my sophomore year during COVID. So it was like through the computer.
Oh, really?
So it was a lot different, like going into high school for me personally. But I don't know. I wish I could go back just for like a week, honestly.
What was it like doing all that like during COVID? Because I graduated definitely well after that. Like I graduated 2017, few years before anything like that happened. I did do online school, which online school for me, it sounded good at first, being able to wake up a little bit later, not having to commute anywhere, being able to literally just sit at my computer, not having to deal with everybody, but not having that social aspect of other kids around me, not having somebody there in person to help out when I do need help. There was something about that commute to school, that separation between home life and school life, that I didn't realize how important it was until I was in that. And like I would literally be at my computer from like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Not because they were just overloading me with schoolwork, but because I just couldn't concentrate.
Yeah.
I'd be on there and I'm like, I'm in my room, I'm on the computer, my brain is saying this isn't school. My brain is saying turn on the Xbox or go on social media or whatever. Like it's not saying it's time to focus. And so I couldn't focus.
Yeah.
And my mom also didn't really have a big education, so she couldn't help me with stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'd either have to wait until there was like a teacher available or wait till someone was available to help me until they finally, like the program that I was in, I guess they partnered with YMCA and they let us go there to be around the other kids. So it was like a mini classroom, but with everyone at like different levels with like someone to watch it. And like that was my school. But for you, obviously it wasn't necessarily online school. It was still regular school, just through like the computer.
Yeah, it was weird because I remember the whole, like when I found out that, because at first it just started with 2 weeks off of school. And I was like, me and my friend, it was during spring break. It was like, I think the exact day that school got shut down is either, I think it was March 6th or March 12th. I can't remember. It was different for some schools, but we were in Florida for, we were going to Disney World for spring break, me and her parents. And we had met these like two kids in our hotel and we were just hanging out with them and we were like in the hotel gym. I have such a vivid memory of this. And we had gotten an email from like the Kyrene school district that school was shut down for 2 weeks because of COVID. And everyone was so happy, but I literally started crying. I started crying because I was like, oh my gosh, like this is going to be apocalyptic. Like what is going to happen? Like the world is genuinely coming to an end. And that's what I thought. Like, and for me, like I was saying, I am such a social person. Like I need school to like be sane. Like I need to be able to see my friends and like talk to people and like have that social interaction other than my family, because like, yeah, I love my family, but everyone needs like people other than their family, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And
no, I definitely get
so when we got that email, it was really just like shocking. And then we go back to Arizona and we literally fly out the day before the airport got shut down. So we made it in like just the nick of time because we would have been trapped out in Florida, but thankfully we made it out. And we started doing school because I had like a few months left of 8th grade when like COVID online school started. I think it was like a few weeks, but it was just like through Google Meets. So like I would just get on these little assignments on like Google Classroom and do them. And then school ended and then high school started. And it was really weird because for me at the time, I started a week late because during this whole time period, me and my family, we had all planned to move to Idaho. So I had unregistered from Desert Vista. I had planned on going to a school out in Idaho. And then all of a sudden it didn't end up working out. So I had to register a week late into school. So I had already started late. So then I'm joining on these Zoom calls with all these people that I don't know. And I was in sophomore classes because I registered late as a freshman and there was no room left. So I'm like getting in these classes with all these older kids. And it's my first day of high school through a computer. And I'm like, right. So this is what people were hyping up. This is crazy. But then
no, that's not what we were hyping up.
Yeah,
When
no.
we're hyping up first day, it's that going into a classroom, all eyes are on you, kind
Yeah.
of like taking in the environment, taking in all that. Like that's not.
Yeah, well, just for like me, I was like, this is off to a really bad start.
Yeah.
But then we started doing like hybrid, which is like half of the school comes for half of the week,
Okay.
and then the other half of the school comes for the other half of the week, and it was split up like alphabetically by last name. It was really weird, so we weren't like overflowing with kids and classes, whatever. So I think my days were like Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday everybody would stay home, and then Thursday and Friday the other half of the kids would come. So it was like a really weird system that we had going on. But so I would go, and like again, like it was weird because half of the kids are in the classroom and then the other half is on the screen. We're all wearing masks, and I'm just like, I don't know what anyone looks like really. So I'm just like basing people off their haircuts and their eyes. And I'm like, we can't talk to anybody. The lunch was weird. We couldn't really sit next to anybody at lunch. It was just, the whole experience was just weird. And it didn't start to get normal until like the end of sophomore year, when like the vaccines and everything started coming out.
Yeah.
And we finally hit a point where we didn't have to wear masks anymore. And then I think after that is when it started to slowly get normal. And then by junior year, everything was regular high school, but it took a while to like get back up on my feet, I guess, because for me, kind of like how you were saying, like I need to be able to like ask questions. I'm such a visual learner that like I can't just listen to you speak and like know what to do.
Yeah.
Like I need to like see what's going on. I need to be able to ask questions. I need that one-on-one help, you know? And with the Zoom, it's just hard. But at the same time, it was like, okay, well, I'm taking a test. I have my computer. I'm at home. My phone's next to me. I have no teacher. Yeah, who's to stop you? So everyone was cheating on tests, homework.
Yeah.
So everyone's grades were pretty good. But the second that we got back to in-person school, everything just plummeted. My sophomore year, like the end of my sophomore year, was absolutely horrible. The worst grades I had ever gotten. Junior year, I really started to get back up again. I started really getting into acting and modeling, and then I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do this, I need to focus on school. So I like slowly started getting my grades back up, and then senior year rolls around, and it's funny because my senior year was the one year that I got like all A's and B's. And I always had A's and B's, but I always had like one high
senior
C.
year?
Yeah, my senior year, which is weird because I had missed the most school out of any other year, but I got the best grades. So it was kind of weird. But yeah, I ended up missing like 30 days in one semester, and the max is like 17 before you lose a credit.
Yeah.
But because my grades were so good, it didn't matter. And but yeah, it was weird.
That's actually very similar to what happened to me. Like growing up, I excelled academically. Like it got to a point where I got tested to see about skipping a grade, just because like I was at the point of excelling academically, but boredom was starting to become a thing. Like they started seeing that I was kind of slacking off, because I was like, that was before obviously all the advanced stuff was happening, and all the basic stuff I had down like no other. Then middle school hits, kind of started evening out a little bit. Wasn't doing bad per se, but I was definitely evening out. It was like everything was starting to catch up to me a little bit. But then high school hits, and freshman year I was like, okay, well, I have a lot more freedom now. There's a lot of different types of classes. Like I was my freshman year taking a class with a bunch of seniors and stuff. And so the teacher themselves, they were having to kind of not only pertain to my level, but pertain to these other levels and stuff, just teaching a class almost as if it like were a college class or something. And so, but then that's also where just everyday life, like my personal life, started really kind of catching up. Like at that point, I had a very stable kind of life. There was nothing crazy going on. Still had split parents, but it wasn't like absolutely crazy. It wasn't until high school that shit really started hitting the fan in the personal life, and a lot of people don't really understand the correlation between personal life and academic life. Like, it was kind of my escape from personal life, but at home I didn't have the break that normal kids had. And so things really started to plummet. I transferred to a performing arts high school in my sophomore year because my best friend at the time went to that school, and I was like, fuck yeah, let's do this. Like, it's a new change, different type of schedule, different type of kids and stuff. It's not going to be like a regular public school. And I got there, and mind you, this is before any artistic type of endeavors really crossed my mind.
Yeah.
I had been into dance, but that was kind of about it. I like to draw sometimes, but I didn't really have a career in anything artistically. And so in a school, like, think of Hollywood Arts from Victorious. That's almost essentially like what we were going there for. Like, the jocks were the dancers, and the kids that were the prodigies and stuff, and it was super cool with that. But I was still in that mindset of like, I need to maintain like my cool status for public school. I need to like be tough and do all this, and like that rebellion stage, and the teenager starts coming out and stuff. And I was just like, not trying to get in with all the dancers, because in public school you look at a dancer and the first thing that you're thinking is some words that probably shouldn't be said. You're looking at them like, who is this little string bean type of thing? Like, you look at the jocks and you're like, that's the cool guy, that's the cool guy. But then you look at like the theater guys, the artistic guys, the dancers and stuff, and you're just like,
I don't know.
And so like going to that kind of school, that was originally my mentality. So I'm seeing at first, like the first day there, seeing like these guys in like tights and leotards and stuff, and I'm like thinking in my head, like, what a bunch of pussies, bro. And like, mind you, like, obviously I don't have that kind of mindset now, but like at that time, I'm coming from a public school to where you see someone in a fucking tutu, or you see someone.
It's not normal. Like, I mean, it might be normal for them, but like where you're, like what you grew up around, it wasn't.
In the public school, I especially, like, there were, I got along with the ghetto kids. I got along with like the ones that were at that point starting to join gangs, starting to deal drugs and stuff, and starting to like really get into like the rap shit. Like, that was the kind of era, like the skating type of thing. Like, that was what I was kind of going into. And then I go to this other school where there's these like super feminine guys that are surprisingly straight. Like, being a straight guy there, I was a minority. I found out like a little bit later on, because like I would be going to, like, not even as a guy, but just being straight in general, I was minority. Because I'd be like, oh, that girl's cute or whatever. I'd be telling my friend like, hey, that girl's cute, and he's like, dude, she's gay, like gay, and I'm like, wait,
how
what?
The tables have turned.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, okay, well, what about her? And he's like, also gay, and I'm like, who is straight? And you have like there's like 3 girls at the school who are straight. Yeah. And they all have boyfriends. And I'm like, okay. And like, obviously it's like the dancer guy who was doing this. And I'm like, you're telling me that guy pulled that girl
and they're straight?
I'm like, what the fuck? And like, I'll be talking to the guy, and like, I'm thinking like, okay, well, maybe it's like a football player situation where it's like these football guys are taking ballet just to do this, like just to get better agility and all that kind of stuff. And I'm talking to them. I'm expecting like, yo, what's up, bro? How you doing? Type of stuff. And so they're like, hey guys. I'm like, how?
It's like that one scene in Grown Ups. Have you seen that scene where the big buff guy's coming at the pool, and he's like, hey guys, what's going on?
Yeah.
So
that's
funny.
literally how it felt. I'd be like talking to these guys, and in my head, I'm just thinking, what? The fuck?
Because it's like what you least expect. It's like, that just comes to show that like stereotypes.
Yeah. And like,
it's so involved in everyone's mind.
Mind you, the public school is still kind of like this at this point.
Oh, yeah.
This is just one of those really weird schools that does not follow the norms. Like, they didn't have a nurse.
Where was this?
This, Fala. Do you know Fala?
No.
So it's called Flagstaff Arts and Leadership Academy. It's
in Flagstaff?
Yeah, it's in Flagstaff, but it's supposed to be a performing arts school. Like, you're there because you're an art prodigy who is absolutely fantastic. It's like the ones that, like, you ask them to draw a picture and it looks like it came out of a camera type of stuff. Or like, they're the dancers and they belong immediately going to Juilliard next year as like a freshman in high school type of thing. Like, those kinds of people. And not to say like, obviously, like, all of them are feminine or all of them are gay or anything. It was just like, at this school specifically, it was kind of just one of those things. Like, the artisticness really kind of excelled there, but the correlation to that was just a lot more like expressiveness and a lot more of like no one's trying to impress anybody
Yeah.
with a fake version of who they were. Like, obviously, we all do that kind of shit in high school. We want to fit in with the cool kids. We want to be like the seniors and stuff. But there, it was just so different. Like, me now, I could appreciate something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, there was no artistic influence of learning how to express yourself, of learning how to do anything like that. And so for me, it was just like, I was a fish out of water.
Yeah.
The only people I got along with were the other kids that were kind of public school, that like their parents wanted them to go there because of whatever acceleration, and they don't fit in either. That was like the only kids that I even fit in with, and we literally just formed our own little clique and stuff. But I failed so hard there because it was also like college prep, and I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But then towards the end of high school, I ended up going back to the original public school because I was like, I can't fucking do this anymore. Like, I need my, I'm sorry, I need my segregation. Like, as fucked up as it sounds.
No, it's true, because my mom says the same thing. Like, the main reason I'm so excited to like be out in LA is just be surrounded by the people that want the same thing as I do. So for you to go to that school, and it's like, in your mind, you don't, like you said, you didn't really have this like distinct artistic path, career path. So it's like you're going into the school with all these people that have their artistic path, and you're like, okay, well, I don't, so this is not my cup of tea right now. I need to be back with people that are doing what I'm doing. So I completely understand. Like,
like, it just, I wasn't raised around that. Like, my brother, who was kind of like the one that I looked up to a lot growing up, was one of those classic masculine guys that's teaching you how to be a man, the man's man, not whatever 21st century type of man type of thing, but like what quote unquote the man's man was, the kind of toxic masculinity, the don't show emotion type of stuff. And that's kind of who I was learning from. Like, my dad, he was a little bit softer, but from the people that were in my life, and a lot of the other guys in my life at that point also were from broken homes as well. So a lot of them, like, they didn't have fathers as well to kind of teach them different stuff. They were raised by single women who, I don't know, maybe should not have been parenting.
Yeah.
Not to like judge anybody or anything like that.
But I get what you mean.
It was one of those situations that like we're not taught the full scope of emotions and full scope of expressiveness, and that it's okay for certain stuff and it's not okay for other stuff. And hey, like, this was okay 20 years ago, but today, like, we got to kind of tone it down a little bit type of stuff. So it kind of changed. Like, senior year, I missed probably about 40 or 50 days of school. You probably had a way better excuse than I did. I wasn't doing it for work or acting stuff. I was literally just doing it because I was just itching.
Didn't want to be there.
I was like,
so that was me my sophomore year. I would just skip class. I would be at school, but I would just skip class.
Yeah. Like, I wouldn't even go. I would wake up at like 9 a.m. Like, me and my buddy would be like staying the night or something, and we would just wake up and be like, hey, you want to hit McDonald's? And like, yeah, go get McDonald's, and be like 10 o'clock already. And he's like, fuck it, go after lunch. And we're like, yeah, we like would literally skip the entire first period of the day just to not go and stuff. And my principal brought me in, was like, hey, so your attendance is a little questionable. And I'm like, yeah. But he was like, I know your home situation, I know your home life, I know that it's not the most ideal, especially for someone your age. I'm gonna work out a deal with you. And I'm like, okay, what's up? And he's like, if you can pass your classes, if you can at least do that, I'll pretend that you were here not pretend you were here, but
like it won't affect.
Yeah, I'm not going to reprimand you or try to
take away your graduation.
Yeah, just because of this. Like, if you can at least pass your classes, get the credits you need, I'll give you a diploma. And I'm like, fucking bet, let's do this.
I feel like that's like, it's like life happens. Like, not everyone is gonna have perfect grades, but as long as you're passing your classes, you're doing the work, like, who cares if I'm here, you know?
Well, and that really kind of pissed me off growing up.
Yeah.
Because, like, especially in elementary school, when they have, like, award ceremonies and stuff, and they'd be like, perfect attendance award goes to this kid.
Because they have nothing else going on outside
Yeah,
of their
I'm
life.
like, I'm sorry he has 2 stable parents that love him, that, like, he can, like, he doesn't have to
He has a ride to school every day. He has a lunch and doesn't have to, like...
Like, the fact that they're awarding them based off of their... Like, at that point, they're not even awarding them based off of their behavior. Because in elementary school, you can't do anything based off the kid's behavior. You're doing it based off the family's behavior and what the family's based to do. So I feel like with those award ceremonies, like, academically, that is a little bit more like a kid. Like, how... Like, whether... But even then, like... The brain is developing in such a way that we don't know if they have ADHD or not. We don't know if they have dyslexia yet.
Yeah.
We don't know if they have those kinds of things. And a lot of times, unless they're specifically tested for it, that's not known until like middle school or something. And so doing those award ceremonies for like those little kids just pissed me off and stuff. Because I
never got an award as a kid, and I always hurt my feelings.
Oh, I would be fucking devastated. Like, my friends would all be crying and stuff because they're from broken families too. And they'd be like, I'm sorry, my mom had to go to the hospital at 2 o'clock. Like, in second grade, that was my mom's appendix burst in the middle of the night. So I had to go to the hospital. And so I'm not going to be there at 7 in the morning when we're at the hospital at 3 in the morning trying to get seen because she's in surgery. I'm like, dang, I just missed my award because my mom's in the fucking hospital and she has custody of me right now.
Yeah.
Like, it pissed me off at those moments because I was like, it's not fucking, like, it's not encouraging anything. Like, if it's just a laziness thing, that's one thing, but a lot of times, especially at that age, like the amount of families that I've seen that like the mom is working 3 jobs to try to support everybody and
got like 4 kids. She has to take them to and from school.
Like just her. So if she has to figure out a way to get the kids to school, or maybe like kid woke up late and missed the school bus because he was helping raise the other 3 kids for the entire night. Like, I'm like, do you guys not see the dynamic of some of these situations that happen?
Yeah. And like in high school, it's a little bit different because you are getting to the age where you're responsible for yourself, you know? But like middle school and elementary school, like, I mean, it's dumb how people just like, that's the one thing I hate about the school system is I feel like they make it seem like your grades and your attendance like literally defines like how and who you are as a person.
If you don't get good grades, you're not going to be successful. You're not going to be like, this amazing, like, and it really honestly becomes even more disappointing because especially with older generations, they will disown their own family because of an F or something, or because they don't succeed academically and stuff. When a lot of times, the most successful people that I've ever met, they're like, oh, I failed out of school.
Yeah.
I dropped out of high school.
Because they have to learn, like, they have to go through the hardships in order to, like Jim Carrey's story. Okay, is this better?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'm too low, but that's okay. But no, just like,
Jim Carrey's story you were saying?
Yeah, it's just, like, it's great to, like, hear these people that go through all these hardships and, like, have to really learn the hard parts of life before they can get to like them being successful. And like for me, it's like, I might not be in college, I might like not have been in NAHS or whatever it's called, but like I'm still more successful than probably half the kids at my high school. So it's like I don't care. I'm doing what I'm doing, and I know what is good for me. I know how my future is going to lay out.
Right.
My principal, my teachers, you can sit here and tell me like, oh, you're not going to get into college, you're not going to do that. Well, that's not what I'm worried about. Like,
well, and honestly, like, I'm not going to sit here and say college is not necessary and it's not, but I think in a lot of situations, like, I went to college right after high school for a little bit. I did EMT course for like 6 months, but then that's when I fell in love with production, so I kind of failed out of that. But then I went for general for a little bit because I was like, well, I at least need to get a degree type of stuff. I need to be like that first person in my family to like get a degree and all that kind of stuff. But then I couldn't do that. I love learning, but I need to learn at my own pace. I need to learn what I need to learn. Like I was taking these English classes that like in high school, I excelled in English. I could write an essay in 3 minutes. I'm like, I can write anything. My vocabulary doesn't suffer. I know words like, I can form proper sentences. I can form, like, I was writing business letters and I was fucking 17 type of stuff.
Yeah.
But then my school didn't make me take the SATs or the ACT or anything like that, so I had no placement for college. And at that time, I was just done with school. I didn't want anything to do with it, so they put me back in front of a test, made me take a placement test for community college. And sure enough, I got the lowest score possible. So they put me in like remedial English class.
Yeah.
And I'm in there and I'm literally like listening to the conjunction song as a fucking college student.
Yeah.
I'm like,
for me, because I always chose the easiest classes, because I was just I'm smart. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm dumb, but when it comes to either being book smart or street smart, I'm definitely more street smart. Me and my older brother, my younger brother is like an academic weapon. He's insane. He's always been a grade above. Like he's super, super smart. My older brother is the athlete of the family. He's super athletic, could literally kill somebody if he really tried hard enough. And then me, I'm like the entertainer of the family, you know? So it's like, not everyone's smart, but, you know, I have my other talents, and I feel like that, like, my grades and, like, my test scores, like, that shouldn't be, like, defining how my life is going to end up, you know? And it's stupid that it does for some people, and it's unfortunate, and I wish that more people in the world could see, like, that schooling is just such a small part of your life. Like, it really is, and it's not... like it just doesn't define you. It doesn't. And I wish everybody could see that and just you know,
like I respect higher education. I do believe that you should continue to learn,
for sure,
to pursue, continue to do that kind of stuff. And I know, like, with school, like, or at least with college, I feel like it's more about discipline than it is learning. Like being able to get yourself
responsibility.
To go. It does teach you some stuff, but when it gets to a point of you're spending $100,000 to $200,000 to get a degree that you're going to be spending the rest of your life to pay off, and they're treating it that much like a business, that's when I have the issue with it. Like, I don't, like, whatever politically people want to say about higher education, that's on them, but it's ridiculous when you do have, like, I have a buddy right now who is in med school, which obviously that's much higher than just regular school, but he is telling me a lot that I think now he is like $300,000 in debt with doing this. And obviously, like, he's going to become a doctor, so he can probably pay it off a little bit easier, and that's a different story. But like if I continued my general ed studies when I was in college, when I had no idea what I wanted to do, I didn't know that I wanted to do this kind of stuff until I was like 22, 23 years old. Before that, I was just going for something random. So I would have gotten a degree, gotten probably about $10,000 in debt with like, okay, well, I don't really know what I want to do. Like, was this degree worth it type of thing? Or should I have, like, and that's also, there's trade schools, which is very undervalued. Like,
my school, I think trade schools are so great.
Oh, they're amazing.
Because I was jealous of like the kids at my school that would do the trade schools, because some would go for like cosmetology and like, to be an esthetician, and I love like beauty and everything. And I'm like, so you're telling me you get to leave school to go to another school where you just do hair and makeup and do what you actually want to do? Like, that's what I feel like all schools should be like that, honestly, because it's like, everyone needs to know reading and writing and math and the basics. But it's like, I feel like once you get more into high school and everything like that, like, there should be more classes determined for, like, what you want to do. I feel like it should be a little bit more similar to college, where it's like, you choose your major, you choose what path you want to go down, because it sets everybody up for more success, and it makes it, like, I don't know. I think trade schools are great.
And the pressure that high schools and stuff put on you, not to think about what you want to do, but the schools. They're like, did you get your college applications in? What schools are you going to? It's like, I don't fucking know. I don't know which ones are the best for this. You're telling me you want me to spend 20 hours a week outside of my studies right now trying to determine which college I want to go to? When I don't even know what I want to do. I don't know which schools offer the best for medical, or which ones are the best for business, or which ones are the best for this. But then, like, I like conspiracy theories and stuff.
Me too.
I go really into that, but it's like, you can obviously tell that there is such incentives for the colleges to really, like, start pushing that with, like, I feel like there's too much weird incentives with
Mm-hmm.
trying to get the kids to just think about like the status of the school rather than what they actually want to go for. Like,
yeah.
You don't even have to tell me what you're studying. If you tell me you're going to Yale, Harvard, Stanford, anything like that, immediately society puts you on a pedestal. Like, you're going to be the most successful person in the world. You're going to do all this. And it's
Yeah.
like, I'm literally going because my family's rich. I'm probably just going to get a liberal arts degree. Honestly.
Yeah.
And it's like, but from Stanford,
Yeah.
that makes you different. It's
Mhm.
like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But then the person that's going to a regular four-year
ASU,
university or
yeah.
something, it's like, that's cute.
Yeah.
Type of thing. It's like,
Yeah, but it's like, well, I'm actually gonna be a lawyer. Like, I'm doing big things, but
yeah, and it's like that dynamic.
Yeah.
A liberal arts degree from Stanford is looked at probably higher than going to law school
yeah.
somewhere else, just
Mhm.
because it's not at that.
Yeah, it's an Ivy. Stanford's not an Ivy League, but
Yeah,
I know what you mean. Like, it's a higher
and a lot
level.
of times with those Ivy League schools, it's not about the performance of the student. A lot of times it's more of a political thing.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's family has more money.
Yeah.
Someone has connections. Someone's like, oh, my
Is your
entire
parent
family.
alumni?
Yeah, type of. It's not, and they've literally gone into that with obviously all the politics that are happening today.
Mhm.
With, like, they need to make sure that they stay racially equal and stuff. So if you have a bunch of black people that do tests and stuff, and all of them do amazing, but I'm sorry, the black population here is already a little too high. We need to include some Asian.
Yeah.
Or we need to include some Hispanic, or we need to include more of this. It's like, even though this Asian person scored a little bit lower than this black person, we have to accept this Asian person because of
how our school
Yeah.
says. Yeah.
and it's like, when it comes into that stuff in the play, it's like, okay, so what the fuck are we trying to judge on?
Yeah.
And then
that's what I'm saying. It's like just the whole school, college, everything. I just
And I don't even try to get into all the politics stuff.
yeah.
on here, but
yeah.
the other thing that really pissed me off in high school was scholarships for race. That pissed me off so
and
much.
yeah, I get it. Like, if you have divorced parents, you've grown up with a single parent,
Yeah.
you don't have a lot of money, yeah, get a scholarship. But yeah, it's just like you
When I
want to
have-
make it seem like it's equal, but you're actually doing the exact opposite, I feel
Well,
like.
and you have, like, I'm sorry, I'm not Hispanic or something, but the amount of kids that I went to school with that literally got an extra $10,000 to $20,000 scholarship because they're Hispanic race, I'm like, they didn't earn that at
Yeah.
all. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what their family did,
Yeah, like
decades
it's
ago and
nothing, like,
stuff.
against them, but it's like
Yeah,
it should be given to the people that have earned it and that want that extra $20,000.
Yeah.
You know, and like, not saying that like whoever that gets it doesn't appreciate it, but it's like you were saying, like it should be given to those who have worked for it.
If
you
I
know?
have an identical life to my best friend who's Hispanic, and we want to both go to the same schools, we both got very similar grades, similar attendance, similar everything. The one thing that separates us, though, is his bloodline. He has Hispanic genes, and so he's able to get to this school because he has the extra $20,000, and because of his race, and the school wants to focus on more of having a minority
Yeah.
type of thing. What is that going to say for me?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, cool. Well, our performance academically is identical.
Mhm.
The only thing that separates us is he's Hispanic and I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm like, where does?
Where's the logic?
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you trying to promote, or what are you trying to incentivize at this point?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I can't do anything about not being Hispanic.
Yeah.
That was all, like, when I was at the graduation stuff, and it's like, okay, give them the awards, accolades, and all that kind of stuff. But then when they're like, and our scholarships brought to you by this for this race, for this race, for this race, and I'm like,
How about these grades and these grades
Yeah.
and these extracurricular activities and the most like, yeah, I always thought that was kind of dumb.
yeah, that always just like really just triggered me. The last time you were on here, I like to get someone's story a lot, and obviously you were under 18, so I had to be a little bit careful
Mhm.
on everything.
Yeah.
I didn't have to be, but just due to
Yeah.
everything, I didn't want to ask the more controversial questions. I typically kind of get into stuff with people. But now that you're of age and Yeah.
Let's get into the dirty.
I am curious. Like, and last time, like your mom was here, and so obviously
she's not here now.
There's not, and like, not. Don't worry, mom. Not gonna be like any dirt or anything. But I am curious though about your life growing up, the adversities that you faced and stuff. Like, a lot of times when you get into an artistic career like modeling, acting, and stuff like that, a lot of times like there's different things that stem, like I had a lot of trauma growing up, which makes it to where when I'm on set, I don't care about what people think of me in different ways, and I can dive into deeper things based off of like what the scene, like I did a scene a little while ago that I had to give myself a panic attack because that's what the thing, I'm like, I have a panic disorder. I can do it very, very easily. Or it's like, we need you to act like, there was an acting class that I did that was like, we need you to act like a drug addict going through withdrawal. And I'm like,
I can do that.
I'm like, I don't personally know exactly what drug withdrawal looks like other than from like medication and stuff. But the amount of like drug people that I've known that have gone through withdrawal, I've seen it. I've worked around drug addicts before. I know exactly what it looks like.
I had to do an overdose scene once. Me and my mom both had to do one for a project. And I've never watched anybody overdose. But just like from what I do know, I was able to do that and it came off believable and everything. But yeah, I get what you mean by like the trauma, and it comes into like things that play in like your career today. So you kind of brought me through a little bit of like the COVID and high school stuff, but I'm curious about just the overall life upcoming of my life.
The upcoming, some of like the stuff that a lot of people may not know that you've faced that really kind of shaped you into who you are today. Because I definitely believe that like your story is from all the way back when, like we still are affected today by a lot of the stuff that we did face as kids. Well, I hate okay, I'm just wanting my upcoming life, it's not like crazy, like it's not a bunch of drama, it's not, it's pretty plain Jane. Well, I wouldn't say it's pretty plain Jane, but like so I was born in Idaho. I guess we'll just start there. I was born in Idaho. I didn't move to Phoenix until right after my 5th birthday. So I've lived here majority of my life, but my parents had gotten divorced when I was 5. Right when we moved out here, we moved to Goodyear. We lived in a house in Goodyear. And then I would say, I think after about like a year and a half is when we moved to Ahwatukee. And we've lived in Ahwatukee ever since. Do you know Ahwatukee? I do.
Yeah. So in Idaho, life was pretty simple. I grew up with my 2 brothers, younger and older, so I was the middle child and only girl. And going to school was easy. I never was really like super bullied in school or anything. Except I do remember I have this vivid bully memory.
That you were the bully or
no, I was being bullied.
Okay.
I was being bullied. I went to a bilingual school in Idaho. It was half Mandarin, half American. Really weird, you wouldn't think. But me and my brother went there, so I was like required to take a Mandarin class. So I was like learning Mandarin at the age of 5. It was so funny, but so me and my brother, we would walk to school, and then we would get to school and we would kind of just split our ways because we're 5 years apart. So he was like in 5th grade at the time. I was in kindergarten. He doesn't want to hang out with his kindergarten younger sister. So I remember there was just this dude that, I don't know, I would say he was probably in like 3rd or 4th grade at the time. But he was just always so rude to me. And I don't remember specific things that he would say, but like, I don't know. It was just, it kind of just like hit me in a way that like, I was like, okay, like, I don't know. And then that's kind of just stuck with me ever since. Just like,
what kind of things would he say?
Just like, you know, like the classic bully things, like, oh, you have no friends. Like, and it was like my first year going into school, and like, I don't really have any friends, and I'm like,
was there anything specific about you that you were bullied for?
Not that I know of. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I was never really like, I never had a huge problem with being bullied. I think it was just because, you know, I was younger. I wouldn't really hang out with anybody. It was just a classic bully. But so then we end up moving to Phoenix, and I went to when we lived in Goodyear, I went to a charter school with my brother, and we had like whole uniforms and everything. Went there for a couple of years, nothing crazy. We moved out to Ahwatukee, and that's when I really started to make friends, because we like stayed in a place, because I think I counted like a month ago, and I think I've lived in a total of close to like 10 or 11 houses in my whole life.
Damn.
So yeah, we move a lot. I haven't moved the house that we're in now is the longest house we've been in, and we've been in it since September of 2020. So
What caused you guys to move so much?
we just liked to move. Like, we moved from house to in Ahwatukee to house. Like, we moved.
Okay.
We just liked
So
to
you
move.
didn't have to like completely uproot your life. It would just be
Yeah,
like,
we just wanted to change.
Okay.
Yeah, just that kind of thing. But I don't know. I get like growing up with two brothers and being the middle child and the only girl. I wouldn't say it's hard. It definitely gave me a lot of advantages, because I am very tough. A lot more tough than I feel like a lot of girls my age. Because growing up with two brothers, you get beat up. Like, me and my little brother, we would fight so much. One time he kicked the front tooth out of my mouth. I would give him bloody noses. Like, it was fucked up. My older brother, he bit his own arm and tried to blame it on me. Like, we would just, sibling stuff.
I love that.
But I think just like growing up, like what made me really feel like I wanted to be an actor, I didn't know for sure that I wanted to be an actor or an actress until I went, when I was younger, I think it was about 8 or 9 years old. My grandpa, he had taken me to Nickelodeon Studios, me and my brother at different times, but I watched them film an episode of Sam and Cat live.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
I got to like sit in front and like watch them film it, and I got to move to each like little studio set that they had, and like it was really cool. I got to see everybody after, get autographs, get a copy of the script, get a VIP badge. It was super cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to do this from that moment on. But I guess just like I always, as far as I can remember, like I just always wanted to be like funny. Like, I just always wanted to make people laugh. I wanted to be the class clown of the group. Like, I don't want to say like I wanted to be the center of attention, because that sounds like so like center of attention, like, but
Yeah.
like, I did. I wanted to like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I wanted to just bring people like this joy and laughter, and just like, I've always done like impressions and like made people laugh, and just that, I guess, is just kind of like what's shaped me into like kind of the person that I am today. And my parents, when they had gotten divorced, I kind of like slowly, me and my dad, we still have a good relationship. It's not like we don't have a relationship, but he's always lived farther away. So we live in the same state, but he's always just lived farther away. So it's been a little bit difficult. So for most of the time, it's kind of just been my mom and my brothers. But she's remarried now to my stepdad. So we have him, and now I have a younger stepsister. So it's not just me and my brothers anymore. But
Is it weird having another girl in the family
It
like
was
that?
at first. It was at first. We didn't honestly start becoming close until she got into high school.
Okay.
And it was because her parents obviously are divorced as well. But she would, like, at the time, she would swap back week at her mom's, week at her dad's, week at her mom's. So I wouldn't see her as much.
Okay.
So it wasn't like we were super close. But once she got into high school, she started staying with us, and then like going to her mom's like over the weekend and stuff. So we got really close, and she was an only child up until recently when her mom got remarried and had a baby. So now she has a little brother, but like it was difficult for her too, I could tell, because she's an only child and she's coming into this house now as the youngest with 2 older brothers and an older sister. And we're also like, okay, who are you? Because I was the only girl for a long time. So now I got to tell people I got a sister. What? Like, okay. But no, I love her to death. Like, and she's like I can tell that like both of us have had such an impact on each other's life. Because one thing for me, like I always grew up being like, I wish I had a sister. Like, I wish I had a sister. and especially like an older sister, like somebody that I can look up to.
Right.
But I had my brothers, and now I'm happy that I like have her so I can help her like with things that I always wanted an older sister to help me with, you know. And I always had my mom, but you know how it is,
It's
like
not
with
the
your
same.
older brother, you want somebody that you can connect with that are going through the same things as you at the same time that you're going through them, you
Right.
know. So yeah, it's great now. My older brother, he's in the Coast Guard, he's doing great. So it's, yeah, I grew up in a really loving, supporting household. My family, majority of my family, I never met anybody except for his parents. I've never met anybody on my dad's side of the family. So even his mom, I've only met her twice. So
Really?
yeah, I don't even know if my dad has siblings. I genuinely, I don't know anything about his side of the family. So I've really only ever had my mom's side of the family. Me and my mom are insanely close, as you could probably tell. Like, and she comes everywhere with me. And my grandma, me and my grandma are super close. Me and my aunts, like majority of my family is women, I would say as well. There's a lot of women in my family. My great grandma, she's Mexican. My grandma's Mexican, so that whole side of the family is Mexican as well. My dad's side of the family is Puerto Rican. But yeah, I always grew up like, and my mom always telling me, you know, like, make sure that you never need to depend on somebody else for your own life. Like, make sure that you are financially stable for your own life. Make sure that you do what you genuinely love to do, because if you don't, like, you're not going to have a happy life. So I just always kind of grew up with that mindset, do what I really want to do. And I always grew up with like a bunch of support. My mom is probably the most supportive person that I know. And
Was she supportive of the acting and stuff from like the very beginning?
yes, so I didn't really start acting until I'd already started modeling. And when I started, I did a photo shoot when I was 9. I almost got signed with Signature Model and Talent, but then they had asked me, they're like, so how bad do you want this? And I was 9, so I was like, I don't really want it at all, actually. I don't know. I don't know what this
How
is.
bad do you want to be successful at 9 years old?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And,
Barbie
some
cool.
9-year-olds do, like Drew Barrymore, for example. Some of those kids do, but like I didn't. And so I kind of just was doing my school thing, and then 2020 rolls around. I'm doing a family photo shoot, and the photos came out like really, really good. And I was like, Mom, I want to model. Like, I really do. And she's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if you can. Like, I don't know if you got it in you. Which she knew, like, I could, like, not saying like I'm not pretty or anything, but like I didn't show that I wanted it a whole lot. I didn't show that I was hungry for it. Like,
Do you think she was saying that more to try to drive you, or more of an actual like questioning?
I think both. I think both, because I had never brought it up until then, and I, like, yeah, and so I told her, and we started kind of, you know, just taking photos out back on her phone, and she was like, okay, I think we can do this.
Yeah.
So then I got some digitals. I started submitting myself to agencies, and then I signed with the Young agency. Yeah, I did a few things with them. And then I slowly just started to inch more and more into the industry. And like, the more we got into it, the more my mom was like, we can really go off with this. And obviously, like, at the time I wasn't tall. I'm still not tall. So it was hard going into it and having such a distinct image of like, I want to be successful in this industry, but I'm not tall. So that's when I really started getting more into the acting, because I always wanted to act. You know, I always wanted to act, but I never got into it because I didn't know how. I just didn't know how. But getting into the modeling industry, I met people who were in it, and it was easier to get a part of it and find out connections and meet people who also are a part of it. So that's when I started acting. And like, once I started acting, I love acting and modeling, but for me personally, they need every single height, weight, look, race, disability, everything for acting. They need it. And so for me, I didn't feel like unwelcome because I was short, or unwelcome because I wouldn't say I have a crazy unique look, you know, like I'm kind of like an more average person. And I've realized that like, in the modeling world, if you want to be a high fashion supermodel, you're gonna have to have a unique look. You're gonna have to be tall. So I was just like, okay, that's
very
not for me.
figure, very specific.
Yeah, and people are like, oh, well, it's growing. No, it's not. It might be in the local modeling world, but genuinely, if you want to model in LA and New York and Miami and Milan, you can't unless you are over 5'9", a certain weight, a certain measurements, and you have a certain look. That's just how it is. And that's why that it's not made for everybody. Just like football, you gotta you have to have a certain strength. Like,
you can't be a 5'3" wide receiver.
Yeah, you can't be like 114-pound linebacker. Like, it doesn't work. Like, there are specific jobs for specific
Though those
people.
comparisons are obviously different.
Very different, but yeah.
With like the modeling, because I know that there was a lot of companies that are trying to get with the times, trying to be more inclusive, but at the same time,
it's just like it will continue, I feel like, to just go back.
Well, if you look at the hierarchy of the fashion industry, of the people that own these brands, the people that are in charge of these, it's like the ones that are trying to make it more inclusive, the ones that are trying to do all that are the marketing people.
Yeah.
Like the younger people that are in there, they just fresh out of college or something, or fresh out of an internship getting into marketing. They're the ones that like, oh,
yeah, the ones also growing.
Gucci needs to start going towards this. But if you look at like the people that actually own Gucci or own like these big brands are still like older people that are from the generations that like, if you want to be a Victoria's Secret model, people know exactly what that looks like in their head. It's not, there is no plus size type of stuff. There is no different complexion. There is no different height and stuff. And for them, they probably still have the mentality, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Like, we have plenty of women still that fit this category that we need.
Yeah.
So why would we try to alter all of the clothes that we have? Why would we try to spend all this money on doing it? And a lot of times, like, thinking in the marketing way, a lot of the demographic that they are trying to market to for these clothes are women who follow under a certain type of demographic. Like, when you think of Beverly Hills model, you have an image of what that looks like. You have an image of what it looks like to have that woman who might be married or dating the multimillionaire that's willing to buy her whatever clothes possible and stuff. You have the image in your head of what she looks like. Yes, should they be inclusive with other things? Yeah, obviously. It puts a very damaging type of perspective on women. But in the when you turn the tables onto the business aspect and the business side of stuff, where the money's coming from, it's not coming from the everyday person that has an everyday look. Yeah, it's coming from
the unique, like,
the very specific,
what's different. You know?
Yeah, like what you see at these galas, what you see at these very high fashion events and stuff.
Because if they just wanted that average look, everyone would probably be a model, you know. But they want that different, that spark, that like the whole reason.
And the
why
brands
it's
that do
model,
go, the brands that do go for like the more average type of look, they do include a lot more like plus size or different complexion or different size.
It really just depends about the brand.
But at the same time, the models that are going for that aren't going to be as financially successful as the ones who are walking for the Prada line or Gucci or Louis Vuitton or whatever. Like, they're the ones that are going for like Under Armour and like, let's just do like this Walmart brand. You'll get paid $500 for the day versus this Victoria's Secret's paid $5,000 for the day because she's modeling a very prestigious brand. So it's a very like, I understand why people are upset. I understand where people want.
But it's it goes both ways. It's one of those conversations that it's difficult to talk about, and it depends. Like, it's just one of those conversations where it depends. It depends what, like, because I mean, anyone I feel like could be a print model. But runway, it's just two completely different markets, you know. And it's just like
like, print is literally like, it doesn't matter on how tall you are and stuff.
You don't need to be super skinny and slender and like look like have this crazy walk and this fierce face. But I don't. So I guess just with all of that, I still do print. I still do a few local fashion shows, but I realized too that I could be more myself with acting, you know?
Yeah.
Because modeling, again, it's such like a hard shell that people want to put you in, and with acting they need everything and everyone and every look and every size, every shape, every color, everything. And like I said in the beginning, I always love to make people laugh and bring entertainment and joy, and with acting, like I can do that, and I can do it with modeling too, you know, but just not in the same ways that I can with acting, you know what I mean?
So what was like your first big kind of, like, obviously I know that you're not A-list yet type of thing, of like people might not recognize the name just yet, people might not recognize the face a whole lot, but
it's mainly just in the Phoenix as of now, in the Phoenix area.
But like you have been in a few feature films. Have you been in any series yet?
No, but I'm in the works right now of possibly maybe being a part of a $2 million per episode series that will be filming in Virginia. So I can't really say anything else much about it, but
I wonder if it's the same, because I saw it on the casting website for a show that's casting.
I think it might be the same. I don't know, but yeah. So that one, as of right now, is the only series that I may have in the books. I feel like I'm wrong. I feel like there's another thing that just came up. No, that was a documentary. Yeah, I think that's the only. I haven't done any series yet.
Okay.
But I have been trying to get in. I've been wanting to do series.
When was Anarchy Radio your first feature film?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was back in March of 2022. I think I filmed that, and I filmed it I got all my scenes done in like a week. So that was a few years. 2022. That feels really long ago to have filmed that. March of 2022. That's almost 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It might have been 2023.
Okay.
No, it was 2022. Wow.
With not having a whole lot of like prior training, like I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know what the characters look like and stuff. But
still haven't watched Anarchy Radio?
No. I am so behind.
It's free on Tubi, guys. It's free on Tubi. It's $4.99 on Amazon Prime. Please watch it.
Go watch it. I didn't know it was actually like, out. I know that they were like doing some like release party stuff.
It's not like a crazy insane movie, but it is a good movie, and especially for it being my first feature film, I'm pretty proud of it. But
what was like the process for you to like get into that character? Because was this your first acting job in general?
No. It was just my first feature. I had done a short film before that, and before I had done any job. So I went to IMTA in 2022, right?
What's IMTA?
IMTA, it's International Model and Talent Association. So they have, I think I did film Anarchy Radio. That was in 2023, because I went to IMTA in 2022 of July, which was before that. And they have it in New York and LA, and pretty much I did a monologue competition, an improv competition, screen test competition, voiceover competition, a bunch of these different competitions that I had to like go in front of casting directors and managers, and like in front of a big audience and like perform. So that was kind of like my first, I guess, acting experience.
Okay.
But before that, I had done hours and hours and hours of acting classes, because I was just
okay,
so
you did have some training.
Yes, I had a lot of training before I ever did my first job, because I wanted to make sure that I was prepared and like I knew what I was doing. And obviously it's like, it's your first job, you're not always going to know what you're doing. That's it. You need to do that to learn.
I remember vividly my first job in general, which was pretty shit, but my first like actual production, I still remember, like I almost had to cancel it because,
really?
Yeah, I've told the story a couple times, but I literally got to set, and like the first day of set I was fine. Like I had just come off from work or whatever, and I got to set, and we were just filming like a little scene or whatever. But the next day was like the first full day. Like the first day was just like a few hours and stuff, but the next day was like call time 7 a.m. Probably gonna be there.
And you're a part
so,
of the
like,
crew, or were you acting?
I was acting. I was like one of the main characters.
Oh, okay.
And so like it was like a lot of dialogue. And like it was even worse because my scene partner, or like the person that I had the scenes
Didn't
with,
know their lines
they didn't talk. They were a mute person. So
in real life, or in the
like in the movie
Oh,
they
okay.
were. So it was
that's
sign
hard.
language that they were doing.
Oh,
I don't
that's
know
hard.
sign language. So for me, I can't go based off of reaction. I can't go based off of
listening.
regular stuff, or possibly like she wanted me to ad lib and stuff and different things. And I'm like, it's so hard to ad lib when you're the only one talking. Like when you're the one that's setting the scene and the only thing that's happening is they're doing an action
Yeah.
or doing sign language to you when you don't know sign language, so you can't talk back in sign language. So it was just writing on my
Experience.
my lines and stuff.
Yeah.
And this was like my first like
Oh,
main
that's
thing.
so stressful.
So I was like, that was, and it kind of like just now like really kind of hits of like, well, no shit, that was a lot more hard. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're not sharing the spotlight in the same way with somebody in a regular film of like both of you guys are talking back and forth.
Yeah, and
having
you're listening and
conversation.
reacting because
With-
they're not even saying anything.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to listen and react?
With this, it's more of like, and you just kind of
Yeah.
have to take that as the
Yeah.
reaction in their lines.
Yeah.
And doing that and kind of having to react based off of what their stuff is. And like that's where the lines really come in of like, shit, okay, so I had this line, this line, this line, this line, and it can't be a conversation because usually now I just link it to a conversation. I see the thing and I'm like, okay, well, if I miss a couple words, as long as I have the conversational points, that's all I need. But for this, it wasn't like that. So it was that much harder. But I also hadn't been used to a production with that much people. Usually it was like just a small thing, maybe one or two people. But there was like 10, 15 people in this one room with giant cameras and stuff. And like,
Freaking boom,
Yeah.
the wires, the boxes
and like everything's
everywhere.
fine until they say quiet on set, and
Yeah.
then dead silence. Like it's the most deafening thing in the world. You're just sitting there like, every eyeball on this thing is on me right now. And
Yeah.
I was, before cameras and stuff and before I was supposed to be on set, I was in the bathroom dry heaving for like 20 minutes because I was so nervous.
Yes, yeah, and that was. That's why I'm glad that I was able to do IMTA before any
Yeah.
legit acting job, because so IMTA, I can probably pull up a video, but it's almost like the Oscars, like the room that you have to perform in. It is a giant ball gown or ballroom with obviously they had you were either going there for modeling or you were going there for acting.
Okay.
So in this room they had a big long runway, and whether you were modeling or not, you would still go up on that runway and you would perform either your screen test or your runway walk, and you would have to do that in front of LA managers and casting directors and New York managers, and I got like callbacks from New York Film Academy and AMDA and LA Film School and all these places that I was performing in front of that I didn't know. So then like going behind a screen in front of a few people, I'm like, okay, this is
Yeah.
pretty easy. I've done
Yeah.
this before. And for me, I can memorize my lines so fast. You could give me a 5-page script and I'd have it memorized by tomorrow. So
I envy you so much for that.
So yeah, that's my biggest flex, honestly, is like, so it makes my life so much easier. Like
Yeah.
it takes 95% of the stress away, because my mom's like, are you reading your lines? Are you reading your lines? I'm like, no, but I don't need to.
I know
Like,
them.
Yeah, I know my lines. Am I reading my lines? No. Am I saying my lines? Yes. I don't need to read them. Like,
I can't. That's my biggest downfall. My memory is such shit that I can't. I have to, like, when I'm reading it, I can't memorize the lines. I have to memorize the situation, and I have to really. I mean, it helps me because I have to get into the character. But as far as like, if it's because I did one timepiece, and with timepieces you can't ad lib.
yeah.
With those, you have to be very much like. There's different
With the
vocabulary and
script, yeah.
stuff. Like they say stuff in different. Like their slang is different than our
There's a
slang.
reason that they're typing it out the way they are.
Yeah, and so I can't ad lib. I have to get it
Yeah.
word for word for word on that, and that one was so difficult because I was like, I can't just be like, yo, what's up? How you doing, homie? Type of thing.
Yeah.
I have to be like, good day, sir. How are you tonight?
Yeah.
Cheerio.
Yeah.
I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to do this?
Yeah, seriously. I had to do an audition for like this Victorian, I think it took place in like the 1800s, but I was like, I think I was like a peasant. I was auditioning for like one peasant role and then like another one, but just like I was like, this is not right. Why do I have to say these words? But it's like, and it made it like, because going back, like I am a very visual learner, so that's why it's so easy for me to memorize the scripts, because I read through it and I scan it and I remember the words that I just. But it's weird though, because when I was younger, okay, here's another. This is like, I guess going back to like my younger. When I was younger, like I said, I wasn't that great in school, especially in middle school. I kind of always had either a D or an F. Like I wasn't that good in school. I didn't, that wasn't important to me. What it was important about school was talking to my friends and everything. That's just where my priorities were at the time. And I remember in 5th grade, like in elementary school, 4th and 5th grade, leading up to 6th grade, every Monday and Wednesday, to this day, I still don't know why. Well, I can probably assume why, but they never pulled me into an office and told me this ahead of time. I would just have this lady come in to my class randomly, and she would just take me out of the class and she would have me read 3 passages and then tell her what I read. And she never told, like, I never got warned about this. I never got told, okay, you're doing a little bit bad on your reading, so we're going to have somebody like help you with that. She just did it. And I could not remember what I read for shit. Like, seriously, she would be like, okay, now what did you just read? And I'd be like, I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you. Yeah. So it's weird now that I can read a script and know exactly what I just read and I can memorize it word for word. It's crazy, but I guess, yeah. And it's also because I enjoy doing this. I don't enjoy just reading a book, but I enjoy reading a script and playing a character.
I'm trying to get back into like reading books so much, and I have no problem physically reading, but my brain goes on so many different tangents.
I just can't do it. I physically cannot do it.
I'll be reading a book, and then 4 pages in, I'll be like, wait, what was this chapter about? I'm like,
and I'll be like thinking about my dog somehow, and I'm like reading about this woman's funeral.
Like, I just budgeted my entire life in the last 40 minutes while I was reading this. I don't remember anything that I was actually reading.
And I feel bad because my mom, she was growing up, she was such a big reader. She loves to read. She loves books, and she has always tried to get me and my siblings. My little brother, he's been getting into books recently, but again, me and my older brother, we are not the book smart reading type of people, and we never have been. Probably
that's why it's even hard for me to like read scripts. Like when I have a producer or a director send me a script because he wants me to do it, I want to be at that point of like, boom, I could read it in like one day.
Yeah.
But for me, it feels like reading a book still.
Yeah.
Like I'll try to do it, and I'll try to like act like I'm one of the characters, and a lot of times it's like I'm reading for a specific character, so I'm really trying to emphasize what there is. But it's still like reading through it for just the sake of reading through it. I can't do it.
Yeah, I don't know what clicks in my brain, because I'm the same. Like I can read. It's not like I'm illiterate, you know. I can read. I'm not dyslexic. I can sit there and read a book, but my brain just, no matter how hard I try to keep it focused on like and visualize what I'm reading, it is so hard for me, and I don't know why I can't sit there and read a book and remember what I just read, but yeah, I can sit here and read a 10-page script and have it memorized in an hour.
Right.
I guess like when I'm reading the script, I'm already in, and another thing that gives me such a big advantage, and I've always, like, going back to how I was saying I always do impressions and everything like that, I'm able to watch somebody, and I'm such a big observer. I notice such the little things, like the way their eyebrows move, what they're doing with their hands when they're talking. Mm-hmm. So I can watch somebody for like 5 to 10 minutes, and then I can just impersonate them and embody them as a person. And like that really helps when I'm getting into like playing a character for a script, because I'm reading the script, and like while I'm reading it, I'm like embodying the character. So like, I don't know. It's hard to explain.
No, I get it. I'm a sponge with that
stuff too. My mind
too.
just, it works like, differently.
I can't automatically come up with like a Russian accent or a British accent. I mean, sometimes I can, but for the most part, like if I watch a movie or if I watch something that has a British speaker or someone that speaks Russian, I can pick up very quickly on it and then be like, cool, and then I could do it. But I have to like watch something to like my brain goes in and like, okay, how are they saying the vowels? Which words are they enunciating the most? What are they doing? What inflections are they having? Are they higher tone or lower tone with this type of stuff? Like my brain is automatically processing it. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm the best with accents.
Yeah, I am not. I've been trying to do some classes because I love voiceover and accents and things like that. But I know what you mean.
But it's like I have to watch it in order to do it. But then when I do watch it, then I can be like, okay, cool. I can say words that I haven't even heard and just kind of guess on how they might sound. It's probably going to sound like an American doing an accent. It's not going to be like which I'm so jealous that like there was a thing that I heard that British people can pull American accents like no other, but the other way around,
they can't. They
it's
can't
like
tell.
2% of people can do it.
Because I did not know Tom Holland was British.
Yeah.
Until
or Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
Or
Robert Pattinson's British.
Or I think he's Scottish. He's either Scottish or British.
That's crazy.
House, Dr. House. Do you know? Did you ever watch Dr. House? Like House MD, the medical show, with the guy that walks with the cane.
I'm not a big on medical shows because I don't know if it has like blood and everything, but I don't like needles. I don't like
Andrew Garfield. He was one that really threw me off.
Really, Andrew Garfield?
Is super British.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I had no idea either until like I heard him in interviews.
Oh my god!
I heard it come out, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Where did this come from?
Adele. In all of her songs, she sounds like an American.
I feel kind of see it coming from her. Singers are a different type of thing.
Yeah.
Because for them, like, you hear like the Kid Leroy. You would think that he's like from the Bronx or something, or like American, but then when he's talking, you hear the Australian coming out. But
I did not know he was Australian. This is crazy.
Yeah, but in those kind of like singers, that's one thing. But like for actors that have to sit, like the fact that they could do Southern accents, and I'm like, I can't even really do a Southern accent. I'm from the South.
I love a Southern accent. Good Southern accent's my favorite.
Oh, me too. But like when I hear, because I've heard Tom Holland do a couple of Southern accents, and I'm like, fuck is he doing that so good?
Yeah.
Or who was it? I was listening to a podcast with there was like one British guy. Timothy Chalamet. I know he's American.
Yeah.
But like I've seen him do like some different accents. And like very few actors who are American can do the British accent. I mean, I think they can.
There's also so many types of different British accents.
Yeah,
like there's Birmingham. There's what are the other ones? I can't even think about it.
But that's also how it is with American. Like you have like someone
Southern
from New York
American,
is going to sound different than someone from Cali.
Boston and New York are pretty similar, but there's those little things that like if you're from New York and you're talking to somebody from Boston, you're just like, oh, you're from Boston. Or New Jersey, you're like, oh, you're from Jersey.
Like you can tell when someone's from Wisconsin.
Yeah, because like Wisconsin, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, I've been wanting to, I downloaded Duolingo and I was trying to learn French. And French is actually pretty easy. I was kind of surprised. Like Duolingo is really good too.
I hate you so much right now.
Really?
I can't do other language. Like I took 4 years of Spanish.
Me too. I fucking hate it. I can't.
Still can't do it.
But French, I can. I don't know why. But I wanted to learn French just because I feel like when people say like, yeah, I can speak French, it's like, what?
You can say the word s'il vous plaît. And that's it.
Yeah, it's like bonsoir, you know, like, but yeah, I love like just being able to like, no matter if it's like an accent or a language, just like being able to completely embody a character, whether it's like the deepness of your voice or the pitch and the raspiness and like I feel like I've gotten a pretty spot on Jennifer Coolidge impression. And
let's hear it. I want to see if you can do Jennifer Coolidge.
Okay, well let me like lock in. Okay, so there's obviously I could say her classic phrases, which is like, makes her want a hot dog real. It's like the 4th of July.
I love that.
And even the face. You know what I mean?
You have to do the face.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I don't know. He had some like spinach right here in his tooth, and it was kind of turning me off.
It's funny. I couldn't think of Jennifer Coolidge in my head until you did the accent. Now I'm like, that's who.
Yes,
That's who.
yes.
Okay.
I always Legally Blonde, or not Legally Blonde. Yeah, she's in Legally Blonde. But I don't know. I loved that. I just love Jennifer Coolidge, her accent. Who else? But the only problem is I've been trying to learn like. It's hard because I've been trying to learn male impressions like Morgan Freeman and
He's
Robert Downey Jr. and Owen Wilson, but
I can do. That's all I can do.
That's all I can do too.
I want to learn Matthew McConaughey so bad, but the thing is with him, it's like he has the whistle that you have to get down. He has the idyllics that you have to get down. He has like there's so much that. Very specific in him that I couldn't do it for my life.
Yeah. The male ones I can't learn for shit. But I've also really been trying to work on my Emma Stone impression. But hers is very hard because she has like a subtle lisp, but it's not like lisp enough to where like I don't know. Hers is hard. Is hard. But yeah, I kind of forgot where we were going with the accents and everything. But
with the characters that you have done, like obviously feature films are different than short films because you have a lot more time and stuff to get into the character that you have to be in that character.
Yeah.
What's been like the one that you've had to transform yourself the most and like really like embody this that it was so out of who you were that you had to almost like change who you were for it?
Eye for an Eye, which is a project that I just finished filming. I actually played two characters in that one.
Two?
Yeah, one of them, I was the head diva, which pretty much there was 3 divas in the film, and we pretty much kill people, rob mansions, diamonds. So I was kind of like, I don't want to say ghetto, but I was more ghetto than I am usually, and like. I had to like slice this chick's neck open and like be like, all right, now we're gonna go and get this shit, like we're gonna get it done. We flew to Cincinnati for that, and we had to we were in a pretty rough part of Cincinnati. It was pretty rough, but it was great because it was like so different than what I'm usually around and how I usually am, that it was such like culture shock, I guess I would say, because I don't know if you've ever been to Cincinnati, but like downtown Cincinnati specifically, it's like going to the Bronx after living in Ahwatukee your whole life,
Shit.
Yeah,
okay.
so it's like, okay, yeah, this is different.
You wouldn't
but this
think
is
that
cool.
from Ohio either.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely that role, because all of the roles that I've done have pretty much been like cute, sexy girlfriend, girl next door roles, and it's pretty easy for me to embody those characters. Like, it's not a huge drastic change from what I normally am. But I would say that was probably the most, it wasn't difficult to get in that role. I'm not necessarily saying that, but it was the most different than what I usually play and what I usually am in real life. If it wasn't that one, I would say it was, sad because I'm not doing this movie anymore, Purify. I don't know if you saw the movie poster for that, but it got postponed just for budget reasons. I was supposed to film that last month in Orlando, but that one was gonna be crazy. That I was gonna have to get raped in that movie. I was gonna have to walk in on people hanging in themselves because
holy shit.
Yeah, so a bunch of stuff, because I'm pretty much this depressed girl who sneaks out, does drugs, does everything bad that a teenage girl could possibly be doing. My life is at its lowest of the low, and my mom sends me to this Christian retreat camp where it's just an overnight camp for one day, and nobody else is there except for me and this girl Christina, which I was starting to get the idea that this girl Christina, because random stuff. So like in the movie, my boyfriend had killed himself, and then all of a sudden in my room at this retreat, his suicide note that I had burned was in my room.
Oh.
So it's like all this stuff is randomly coming back, and I was kind of getting the idea that in the movie Christina was Christ, and because it was only me and Christina at this retreat. So I saw it as like kind of like Christ watching it, because it's a Christian-based film, so it's like pretty much all of the demons.
Wait, this is Christian based?
Yes. So, because it's pretty
Wow.
much like my life is at the lowest of the low.
Right.
And all of the demons that God has been trying to keep away from me, I am coming to this retreat and I fight all of them at once. So drugs, alcohol, rape, suicide, like everything I experience in one day. And then I pretty much leave the retreat like a whole new person. So it's a crazy film. But I was getting really nervous about having to fully embody that character because I am just such a person. Like, I'm not a super like depressed, shallow person, you know, and that would have been really hard to do. But
I feel like it would be scary to do a role like that also because those are real life situations.
Yes.
Those are things that actually happen to people. And you never want to be in a spot of disrespecting someone who has gone through something like that. Like, obviously, everyone has their own reactions and their own kind of coping things with how it happens. But for something like that, if you were to have to embody a character that has been raped and gone through all that kind of stuff, and you've never gone through it yourself,
it's hard.
It not only is it like it's hard, but like other people that have gone through it,
you don't want to make it seem like
it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I get so iffy sometimes on playing mental illness stuff. Like, if I have to play someone with autism, or if I have to play someone with schizophrenia or
you
dementia.
don't want to make it seem like stereotypical or like
and there is no stereotypical thing when it comes to that kind of stuff. Everybody has their own different things. Like, there are some people that can play a mate. Like, there was that movie that Leonardo did. What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
To
where he had to play with
that was absolutely
autism.
amazing.
And there was one interview that I heard to where it was like, I talked to him and he said it was the most fun thing ever. He just got to fuck around all day, and I'm like, I feel like that's not
but
that's not a fuck around type of thing. But then when you're listening to the interview with him specifically, then he really kind of goes into like he literally went to a mental institution and studied people with autism for a while, writing down everything that he could to learn about them and stuff. And there were certain times where he just got to play with food or something or do that, but that's not what autism really entails.
You are fully embodying and digesting a mental illness, and you have to portray every single aspect.
Or Sean Penn in I can never remember the name of the movie, but I don't know if you've seen it. He plays this guy with autism that has a child with another woman who I think was a sex worker or something, and she ends up leaving them. He ends up keeping the baby and stuff and raising the child himself, but he has autism, so he obviously like can't fully do everything. But then he goes through all these custody battles and stuff because like he's attached to this little girl. Like, this little girl is still his daughter. But like the way that he embodies this kind of like autism with it, it's like so spot on. From what I've seen, at least with autism. But being able to do that, like I've wanted to do films that I have to play someone with autism or something like that, but I'm like,
it's a lot of work and
the respect that I want to maintain. And I don't know if I can, like, as an actor, I don't know if I can fully embody and fully create something that can be a respectable form of what this is. I don't know if I have the ability to portray that. And like, I could confidently say that, like, there's so many different forms of autism, there's so many different tics, there's so many different things that to be able to portray it in a respectful way is hard. Such a challenge. Because like you don't even know, like, okay, well, you need to portray someone with autism. Are you doing Asperger's? Are you doing regular just nonverbal? Like, what kind of like, when, because a lot of times the directors don't even know. Where it's like, play someone with autism, and it's like, well, okay.
Like, there's so many spectrums of autism. Like, either non-verbally autistic, or
it's
you
like,
can't
okay,
even tell if you're autistic. You know,
what version are you playing? In your
how
head?
high on the spectrum? Like, there's different. Like,
am I high functioning? Am I not high functioning? Am I verbal? Am I non-verbal? What kind of?
There's so many little aspects that play into it that you have to know ahead of time and like embody, and it's a challenge. It's a real challenge. Kind of like Because so when me and my mom, we did the overdose scenes back in 2021 November, it was either a few days before or after Thanksgiving, my uncle had passed away from an overdose on fentanyl. So we took our scene as kind of like, it was hard because, you know, like when somebody close to you like that happens to them, you don't really want to like put yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we were doing it as more of like an awareness kind of thing. Like, this is what, like, we're just showing you what happens. But like, obviously I've never overdosed before. So like having to like get in that situation, like literally pretend like I'm dying and I'm overdosing, like, and just having to like think about like what happened, like what would happen if somebody did overdose. It's hard to get yourself into that mindset, you know, and it's difficult to like
it's one thing to portray a drug scene, like there's Wolf of Wall Street where he has to play a certain thing, and he literally said that like
where he was like crawling down the stairs and into the car, and he's like, oh.
And he has to like figure out how to portray something like that. But to portray something like an overdosing, there's so much more of a psychology that you have to have. Like, especially
like you're dying.
You have to also, I feel like, embody, is this on purpose or is it just like a freak accident type of thing?
Yeah,
it's on purpose.
In the scene, it was an accident. Like, I didn't know.
Okay.
So it's like because it's what also makes it difficult. It's like, in the movie, I'm not supposed to know that I'm about to overdose. But in real life, I'm thinking about, okay, this is how I'm going to overdose. So it's like, it's hard to get that mixture of like, you know what you're going to do, but also you have to play out like you don't know what's going to happen, and you have to make it real. And
showing
like,
that fear of like, what the fuck is happening in my body right now?
Yeah.
I just took this, which is supposed to make me feel like this.
Yeah.
But now
I'm dead.
My heart's racing. My skin is getting clammy. Like, why do I feel dizzy all of a sudden? Like, what, like, it's not even just like portraying one thing. It's really kind of getting your body into that mentality of like, okay, in order to sell this, I'm going to have to freak my body out a little bit. I'm going to have to confuse it of why we're doing this. And like, I do have to sometimes do physical stuff to my body in order to portray certain stuff. Like, if I'm doing something like that, you bet your ass I'm going to have to chug a couple Red Bulls or chug a couple of different things to get myself to that point of like, okay, how do I get my blood pressure up? How do I get my pulse up? How do I get my anxiety up a little bit? How do I get it to where I'm like, okay, I need to not just seem like I'm dizzy, but like, how do I kind of
like start sweating? And like, you know, like, it's just all those little things that you need to, again, get into before you can really portray that. And it's a skill.
Yeah,
for sure.
And it gets scary in some instances with some of the stuff that you have to portray. But
I know, like, when I found out, when I read the script for Purify, I was like, so you're telling me I gotta get raped in this movie? That is crazy.
And that's one thing that...
It wasn't like, it wasn't, okay, when I say it was a rape scene, it wasn't like you see everything. It was him trying to go in, and I push him off, and then it skips to me, like, bawling my eyes out on the bed and him like buckling up his belt. So it's like the aftermath, which I feel like personally is even harder to...
because you haven't actually gone through the experience. You don't know what exact thoughts you're supposed to be
I can imagine it, you know, anyone could imagine it, but it's a matter of,
you can only imagine so far. Because you started, what age did you start acting?
15.
Okay, so you've been in it for
almost 4 years.
Yeah. Work hasn't been super consistent for you, I'm guessing. Like, one project after another.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine the fact of, like, you see other kids your age that do find a lot of success, that do go to the Nickelodeon studios, and do get to go on all these auditions. Do you deal with a lot of, like, the self-comparison of, like, I'm already 18, I've kind of, like... it's now or never. I have to land these roles, or else in the next couple years, there's a potential that nothing could happen type of thing.
I do, mainly because I have always been told that I look older. I've never really been able to play younger roles, so I kind of already have that section of my career out of the window. I can't play any younger.
Yeah, really. Like there's no like middle school scenes.
Yeah. So it's like, because the older people, they're able to play younger and older. I can only play older, and I feel like for me, I always get worried that like, because people think I'm like 20, 23, and I'm like, okay, so when I am 23, you're probably gonna think I'm like 32.
Yeah.
So I'm only gonna be able to play like that age range. But it's also like, I never really like, because for a lot of young stars my age that, you know, are very, very, very big A-list actors, I think about it and I'm like, yeah, they're my age and they're working on the set of Barbie and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, you were on Disney when you were 4. Your parents were actors. You were born in Hollywood. You have a lot. You grew up in a way different lifestyle than I did. And I grew up in the lifestyle that I did, and I am still here. So I usually, everyone compares themselves. Everyone gets into that mindset where you look at yourself and then you look at other people that are your age and doing the same thing as you, and you want to be at a higher level, or you want to be in a different state or have a different amount of money, whatever it is. But I just remind myself that like, I'm graduated high school.
Yeah.
I am the only person, I think, in the Valley that has done 9 feature films straight out of high school, that has done 4 music videos, that has done 4 different commercials. Like, I've done a lot. I've done a lot. And especially for how young I am, because I'll tell people, they'll be like, oh, is this your first feature film? I'm like, I've done 9 feature films. And they're like, wow, like this is just the beginning of your career and you have so much longer to go. And like, I'm not even in LA yet. I just went out there. I met with an LA manager. So I'm going to get an LA manager soon. And I keep just remembering like and telling myself that I still have so much more to experience and live. But at the same time, it's like, you never know if there will be a tomorrow. So you want to do as much as you can in the time that you can, you know? So it's just like a battle of like, I need to be patient and wait for my time to come. But also I don't know when my time is going to end. So I want to do as much as I can. So I definitely compare myself, but to answer that question, I guess I'm very happy with where I'm at. I think I know I'm on the right path. I'm moving at the right pace for me, and I'm the type of person that I'm very religious, so I believe everything happens for a reason. God has a plan for me, and if this job was not meant to be, if I was not meant to move out here at this time, then that's just what it is, you know?
I think, especially being in an industry like this, and I don't ever like to shove faith down anyone's throat, but having faith and being in this career, I feel like goes so much more hand in hand than people understand. And I know it's not the most popular thing. I have more friends in the industry that aren't people of faith than that are.
People that,
But when I think about it, it's like you said, everything happens for a reason. I am almost, I think, 10 years older than you. I'm 26. And the thought that there's an 18-year-old getting on a set and that's building their life and doing all that kind of stuff now, obviously I do have a lot of those instances of like, fuck, I'm already almost 30. Like, where, like, what am I doing? Is it too late for me? But at the same time, it's also, there's always going to be roles for every age group. For one. For 2, I have to ask the question, is now the right time for that kind of success? Would I, like, a couple years ago, I had to ask myself, I had to really sit down and be like, if I were to hit the button, if I were to have a magic genie to come out and say, okay, tomorrow you'll have your goal. If it was to land the biggest feature film in the world, to get that immediate stardom, all that kind of stuff, would you not be able to take it, sustain it? Would you be able to last it throughout your entire career?
Yeah.
I could not, from what I've seen with other, especially young actors or young people that have gone through that success, I could not sit here and officially answer to myself yes, because while we get to see the glamour side of things, we get to see that fun side of like, oh, they get to go to all the cool red carpet events, they get the money, they get the house, they get the hot people around them, they get to meet all these people. there is sacrifice that they don't mention that I think is so much more important to emphasize the fact they no longer have a personal life.
Yeah.
They no longer have privacy. They no longer are able to go to Chick-fil-A at 9 o'clock at night and not be recognized somehow. They're not able to take their family to the mall and just enjoy a day out. They have to live their life trying to avoid the cameras usually. And everything they do is documented.
Yeah.
You never know where a paparazzi guy is going to be. And if he's going to catch you in a bad mood that day, the amount of actors that go through that whole thing of like, oh, in real life, he's a piece of shit. And it's like, probably not. He probably just got caught in a really bad day.
Nobody likes to have these people like, I just want to get in my car and I can't even because you guys are surrounding me.
You don't know if
nobody likes paparazzi bombarding their business.
Yeah.
Like, that's just human nature. Nobody likes that.
The attention might seem cool at first.
But after every day, all day, it's like, no.
After going out 7 days a week and like every single 5 minutes, like you're on a mission and you have 20 people, you have to be able to schedule 20 people stopping you on the side of the road. Hey, can I take a picture? And not just being respectful, but like, oh, look who we have, look who we have. Making a huge deal, and now you're entire...
And then like random fans coming up to you and being like, oh my gosh, can I get your autograph? Can I get a picture? Like, it's like...
It sounds fun, but actually going through it, unless it's something that you've prepared yourself for or that have gradually gone it, like, it's different if like you've kind of gradually, like you've done a couple movies and you get recognized here and there and stuff, and then gradually happens and you're able to kind of pace it out. Those that I've seen that have had like the more overnight success or the immediate type of thing, especially when it's not something that they've conditioned themselves for, are those who can't sustain it. They go off the deep end, they go and do drugs, or they go to jail for whatever because they can't sustain it. And like there's a whole different lifestyle. Like you don't get to live that same life that you lived before.
Yeah.
There's events that you have to go to. There's 20,000 people every day trying to interview you. There's messages come, like you have to ignore your phone at that point. And then you have people complaining like, oh, you changed and stuff because you're not texting me back anymore. And it's like, I'm sorry, I'm getting literally 50,000 texts a day from everybody and their mom wanting me to do something. Like, I love you and I really want to still spread my time to you, but unfortunately, like, unless you're at my house and you're in, like, I'm already around you, or I get a separate phone or something, I'm still a human being. And I still only have a certain brain power, certain mentality and stuff. And on top of that, I still do have to appease a lot of these people for work. So taking in all that, it's like, would I be able to sustain all that right now for the long term? I'm like, I don't fucking think I could. I barely have the brain power for all this shit now.
Yeah. My mom, she always said, like, anytime she runs into a celebrity, like, she just treats them like a normal person, because at the end of the day, it's like, they are a normal person. It's just they have a higher job than everybody else and a higher pay and higher exposure, I guess. But like,
they're still a human being.
At the end of the day, they are a human being. They have their own personal life. They enjoy the same things that your average person enjoys doing, and they want to be, obviously, I'm not saying they want to be treated like they're not like nobody, but they want to be treated like an average person, you know? They don't always want to have this life where it's like everything is so glam and glitz and money and photos and paparazzi and, oh my gosh, come here, let me get your autograph. You know, like, it's annoying after a while. But yeah, I just think that when it comes to that, like, people need to realize that, like, everyone is just, they have their own personal life. They have their own personal things that they're going through, and you don't know what it is or how long it's been going on. So I just feel like everybody just needs to, like, treat everybody else like an average.
Well, then, and just take in the reality of their current situation and appreciate their current situation.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it might seem cool to live that lifestyle, but you don't know all the adversities that you're going to have to face when living that kind of lifestyle. You see the fruits, you see the fun stuff, you see all the social media stuff that everyone posts about, you see all the cool gala pictures and all that, but you don't see what just happened 5 minutes before that photo was taken.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know what kind of bullshit just happened. It's just one of those things that, like, you don't know until you actually have to experience it yourself. But then when you get to that point, there's no going back.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to be unfamous. Unless you just want to drop off the face of the planet for 3 years and have something like that happen. But then the second you're back in the spotlight, you're stuck again.
Yeah. That kind of reminded me just of something funny. When I went to New York for the first time for New York Fashion Week to walk from Mark to Fang. Me and my mom, we were just walking around New York, and I was in like such a bad mood for some reason. I was just in a really bad mood, and I'm in front of the cathedral, and she's like, "Leila, smile," and I'm like smiling. I'm like, and it came out like as a cute photo, but I look back on that photo, I'm like, oh, I was so mad that day. I was so mad. It was just funny.
But that happens. We're human beings. We're allowed to have some days where we're just like, fuck the world right now. Like, there's no reason behind it. You're just like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
For my own reasons, and I don't need to explain them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just a human thing. And like, we end up taking that human aspect out of actors and celebrities and stuff, thinking that they need to be perfect 100% of the time. And then
like, if they get caught drinking, it's like, oh my gosh, you're drinking?
A 23-year-old is not caught.
I've been drinking. I've been smoking. I've been doing this. It's just now the public sees it, you know? And I think that's
and
like...
It's like, wait, you're getting mad at me for drinking when you're literally having a beer as you're reading
this.
Cancel
culture is so stupid. I mean, it's like, people are going to do it whether or not the public eye sees it.
Yeah.
It's just now that the public sees it, it's the end of the world. When you know damn well, like, people... if this might be a little bit controversial, but like some people, you know, like, oh my God, you said the N-word. They probably had said it before. It's just nobody heard it. Or, oh my gosh, you don't like transgender people. They probably have felt that way for a while. Or like, oh my gosh, like, you're doing this, you're doing that. It's like, girl, I've been doing it. It's just now people are starting to see it, you know? And like, I just think that the whole cancel culture is like, punish people for their mistakes and not doing the right thing. But it's like, to cancel people for stuff that they've probably been doing their whole life, I think is just so stupid and silly and just, I don't know.
Yeah. There's like one last major question that, because obviously I don't have the personal experience to be able to talk about, as not only a younger person in the industry, but as a female in the industry, I've talked to a couple people on the other side in like the crew production side of things, of like what they have gone through, but I'm curious as to what specific like adversities or what specific types of maybe unfair types of things, whether it's unfair to your advantage or unfair against your advantage, just like especially as like a younger woman in this modeling and acting world that you've encountered yourself, like even not at the big levels, even at like the smaller levels.
Honestly, there's not like too many. I would say the main thing that kind of is really, it's really starting to get on my nerves and just upset me is everybody wants to book me for this sexy girl role. And I'm like, look, I get it. I'm an attractive female, but like there's so much more to me than just playing that sexy girl. Like, I'm funny. I can do action comedy. Like, I love all of it, but it's and like when I talk to some people about it, they're like, well, yeah, but like that's just the look that you have. That's just what you're gonna have to do. And it's like, but I'm not, because I know that I have other skills other than just sitting here looking pretty and kissing on a guy. Like, that's so stupid. And I guess when I went to IMTA, I don't know if I had already told you this story. I think I shared it on the other podcast, but when I went to IMTA, I was in front of a LA manager, and I was told I walk in with my mom because I was 16 at the time, so obviously I had to have her with me. So I walk in, and I have my hair in a low bun. I have pretty natural makeup on, nothing crazy. I have this long, like, ankle length, like, just kind of, it's like just walking down the street, kind of baby blue dress with just some white Vans. You know, average 16-year-old girl, just look, you know, just white Vans, blue dress, hair in a little bun, not a lot of makeup. But again, I always look older. So I walk in there and I give her my headshot, and in all my headshots, I look like 30. Like, I look old in my headshots. I do. They're great headshots, but I look older. I do. And I just do. So I give her my headshot. She looks at the headshot, she looks at me, and she goes, so why do you look 20? And she was being so serious. This is the exact tone and everything. I was like, well, I'm sorry. I've always been told I look older. It's just how it is. She's like, okay, well, you're going to need to lose the makeup. You need to lose the dress. You need to lose the hair. I mean, what are you wearing? She literally looks at me. She goes, what are you wearing? And I was just like, first of all, I have barely any makeup on. I have my hair is pulled back. Like, I just have the most simple outfit imaginable. And just like, it hurt my feeling. I stormed out of there and she was like, but go ahead and do your monologue. So I did my monologue and she's like, okay, thanks. And I just ran out and I started bawling my eyes out because I was so, it hurt me so bad because she made me feel like so worthless in a sense that like, you're like, what am I doing? You know, kind of like, why am I here? I don't know, you know, and it didn't impact me a whole lot though, because I ended up winning junior runner-up actress of the year, and I was just laughing in her face because I was like, yeah, you can sit here and tell me I'm not good enough, but I just won an award in your face. So like, I know how good I am, and I guess that's why I don't really have like not a lot of problems, I guess, because I've always taken my mom with me. I've never had anything like that happen to me on set. I always make sure that I'm not the only female on set, especially as a young, attractive female. Like, I'm very, very cautious with who I surround myself by. I'm very good at reading people, so if I get a weird vibe from you, I won't be around you.
Yeah.
I always carry pepper spray on me. Like, I am just very, 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 very cautious, and I watch over myself a lot, so I don't put myself in these situations where something bad can happen or where I feel like I'm getting taken advantage of or where my value is not being put where it should be, you know? So I haven't gone through a whole lot, but I guess I try really hard to just make sure that I am being put where I'm wanted and where I will get used the way I want, and you know?
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
No, I definitely, I appreciate that because I have heard a lot of horror stories. I have heard a lot of like, I would like it, but you gotta do something.
Yeah.
If you want this role, like you gotta really prove it type of stuff. And like I've heard disgusting stories and stuff. And obviously, like as a guy myself, I haven't experienced a whole lot of those kinds of things. Like I've obviously experienced different stuff myself, whether it's due to good looks or due to connection wise or just due to like not being as likable for whatever reason, or I don't know, just stupid shit. But like especially for women who I know have the tendency to sometimes get taken advantage of more or get typecasted because of certain looks and stuff. And like, I mean, you'd be good for this, and it's like, well, can I please go for this one? It's like, but like you're hot, can we please put you on this one? Like we don't,
like, I don't have an issue playing those, but it's like I just want people to see that there's a lot more than just that.
Yeah,
you know?
like you can do more than just the hot girlfriend type of thing. You can, and that's one of the reasons why like typecasting, a lot of people like, oh, I'll take on any type of role like that. But it's also like, okay, well, then you're really risking getting yourself typecasted if you don't try to break the, like if you don't decide to say no to a couple of those roles to be able to say yes to one other role. Like, yes, it might be more consistent work. You might be able to get paid. You might be able to do all that, but you're only going to be ever known for that role versus like, say no to this one. Like, I know the paycheck is there. I know that like you want to do another movie, get another credit and all that kind of stuff, but hold out for a little bit. See if something else can come your plate. Like I know that like Matthew McConaughey had to do that. He was known as the rom-com guy for the longest time. And a lot of those actors that have just been known for that, like I had to not work for 2 or 3 years because all I was getting was rom-coms. Like I don't want to just do rom-coms. Yeah, and it's also harder, especially like when you're first getting in the industry, because you want to be able to like if somebody's like, oh, I have this for you, and you're like, I want to do it. Like, yeah, you just want to say yes to everything. Yeah, but it's like you have to learn your own worth and value. Right. And you have to let people know, like, look, this just is not right for me personally. I thank you so much for the offer, but it's not something that I feel comfortable doing, or it's not something that I feel like will benefit my career. And I'm just I'm getting to that point now where it's like I have had to turn down a few jobs because it's a job where I feel like I'm moving backwards, you know? It's not boosting my career, or it's something
that I don't feel comfortable doing. Like, I just had to turn down a job where this guy who I've never met wanted me to have this full-on grounding, it said grounding in the script, makeout session. And I'm like, I'm not there yet. I'm not, I'm not, because I'm not like big on, I don't want to be in all those sexual scenes. I don't want people to see me as that. So I'm sorry.
Especially with scenes like, or with instances like that, like unless they are a super notable person and you can make sure that there's a
I've never seen this guy before. I'd never met him before. I wouldn't have met him until the day I had to kiss him. So I'm like, I'm not comfortable with that.
Like,
I'm sorry.
making sure that like
and it wasn't getting paid.
Like an intimacy coordinator on set, making sure that like
there wasn't any of that.
A lot of those ones you have to be careful because it's like, well, is this an actual project or is this some guy that's just promising a false future that's just like, you're hot, I wanted an excuse to kiss you.
Yeah.
I have...
That's what I was starting to feel like it was.
I've had instances of friends that have told me about that where it's like a project and like this girl only got casted because this guy had a crush on her and this is the only way he could actually get to kiss her. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and I feel bad. I didn't feel bad. I felt bad because like you could tell like he really wanted somebody like attractive and good to play this role, but it's like at the same time it's like, look, I'm at the point in my career, if you want me to come onto your project and make out with you when I don't even know you, first of all, you're gonna have to pay me. It wasn't even paying. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm in a full-on committed serious relationship. I am not, it was so unreasonable. I was like, I'm sorry, I have to turn this one down. I just felt bad.
No, it's good though that like you didn't sacrifice your morals and stuff for something like that because there was
no intimacy coordinator. Like there was just too many things where I'm like, I'm at the point in my career where this is not something I needed to be doing. Yeah. You know, and I didn't feel comfortable doing it, so I wasn't going to do it because I'm very adamant about not even swim photo shoots. Like I've done a few swim photo shoots, but I'm not. I am so steered away from this whole sexual thing that people keep wanting to put me in, and I'm just trying my hardest to stay out of it. But like even some swim shoots with certain photographers, I'm like, no, I will not, because I know you as a photographer. I know this kind of stuff you like to shoot, and I don't shoot that. Yeah. I've had multiple photographers trying to shoot lingerie, and I know, first of all, not even like, especially for free. Like if you want to shoot me practically almost naked, you're gonna have to pay me. But even then, I won't do it. I'm not comfortable with that, and I probably won't be for a while, but I just am very adamant about do what you're comfortable with, and if you aren't, then don't do it because it's not worth it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any projects that have come out that you want to try to get out there or like promoted or anything that's coming out soon?
One, not any that are coming out soon, but one just came out on streaming platforms. This was actually the first feature that I ever did, but I was just an extra. But you can see me for a split second. Operation Hope. It is now on Tubi, Amazon Prime, Freevee, I think, a bunch of streaming platforms. But that is the only one that it's been out for a while. It just hasn't been on any streaming platforms. But I have Coconut Wireless that is in being edited right now. I just booked a lead role for The Girl in the Desert, which will be filming soon with Kevin Mejia, which is the same director that I did That Day on 101st Street with. Okay. And then also Stare, which I booked another lead role with Carl Jackson. And then the series that I mentioned. But as of right now, I don't have, everything's kind of like in editing production right now and getting ready to film. So hit me back up in like maybe a year and we'll see where we're at then. But yeah, as of right now, it's kind of just the waiting game.
How can people find you?
Instagram. Leila Collins. Not Leila Collins. Leila.Madison_15, or you can look at my IMDb Pro profile. I think I have it on there as well. Facebook, I think my username might be the same on Facebook. If not, it should just be either Leila Madison or Leila Collins. I will have to verify that for you, honestly. But yeah, any social media, honestly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we missed that you want to make sure that like gets touched on, or?
I feel like we touched on so much, honestly. I don't think there is. Yeah, I feel like if I say something, we're going to have to start a whole other episode.
We'll go for a round 3 at some point.
Yeah, we will. We have to, I feel like.
Well, thank you for coming on and talking about all this stuff. Yeah. I know that there's a lot more that we could talk about, and this was honestly super fun. I'm super happy we were able to finally get this.
I know, it's been so long, guys. We have been talking about getting on a podcast for probably half a year now, it feels like. Like, he texts me, no answer for a month. I text him, no answer for a month. And then we finally got on track where we respond right away. So we finally got in
here.
Hell
yeah, let's go.
Yes, I'm excited that we were finally able to do this.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you, Leila.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
This was so much fun. I can't wait for the next one.
Yes.